Hey friends, before I get into this, it's a little bit breezy out here, so if while you're watching this it goes silent, it's just me disconnecting the audio from the video. What I'm doing today is I'm shooting my 58 new model Army Remington 36 caliber and my 51 Navy 36 caliber. I've reamed a small portion of these throats to accept a .380 round ball easier. And as you can see right here, I am below what I've reamed. Now there seems to be a thought out there that these will be shooting loose. I would agree with that thought if I've reamed the entire cylinder, but I did not do that. And in fact, you'll see that process right here. So before I go any further in showing the reaming process, I want to make it perfectly clear. If you are uncomfortable for any reason in doing any of this, do not do it. I know that there's a lot of pros and cons, a lot of do's and don'ts in comment sections regarding doing any of this. There's some guys, some people that have the mind that you're going to shoot your ball loose. There's just a lot of dialogue out there. So if you feel comfortable, give it a try. If not, don't do it. Just like the forcing cones. I've read a lot of comments about 8-degree forcing cone versus an 11-degree forcing cone. If Samuel Colt thought it was better to do an 11-degree forcing cone, then Samuel Colt would have done it. That's irrelevant today, okay? That's just irrelevant today as far as I'm concerned. Now, when it comes to the reaming, I've already done one cylinder. I did it in the house off camera, and I'm pretty sure that you're not going to be able to see it as well as I had hoped. But the cylinder is, let me get it in a better light for myself. The cylinder is right here. Now, I only went down 15 thousandths of an inch in this hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load a ball. Now remember, my round balls are .380. Now before I actually do this, I want to make something a little more clear, because when it comes to reamers, and you buy a 3/8 reamer, if you look at that, that plainly says 3/8. But when you mic it, it mics out to be .375. Now when you go to the hardware store and buy a 3/8 bolt, that actually mics at .370. Okay? We put that up here for everybody to see. 370. But it's still considered 3/8. Now, get a tap and die set that clearly says this is 3/8. When you put it in a dial caliper and you measure the width, what is it? .380. Let's stop splitting hairs. Yes, the reamer is .375. Since I am shooting a .380 round ball, reaming these cylinders out to .375 is really not going to do anything that is going to adversely affect the revolver. Now with that being said, the one thing, if you're going to do this, it's my opinion, do not ream the entire cylinder. That's why I'm only going down approximately 15 thousandths, because when I go to use the loading lever that comes with the revolver. I want to be able to make it easier to get the .380 round ball into the chamber itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load a .380 round ball into the cylinder that I've already reamed to .375. And I want your friends to notice when I get this done how much of this lead ball actually conforms to the shape and the size of the loading ram. Let me get this accomplished and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I went all the way down, and granted there's no powder in this cylinder obviously, but if you guys can kind of focus a little bit, you will see that that loading lever with that soft lead filled the chamber also. Now I always load with a pre-lubricated felt wad. So for those that think that this is not the correct way to go because I'm more likely to cause a chain fire, bear in mind, I didn't cut any lead off of this. I swaged that .380 round ball into the cylinder itself. Now bear in mind, as I stated before, this Army San Marco revolver already has a 10 thousandths tapered cylinder. But once again, look at that round ball and look at how that lead has actually mushroomed into that cylinder by just using that loading lever. Now let me get the round ball out of here. I have a copper pin. I'm going to drive that round ball out of there, and I'm going to measure the full diameter of that round ball since it was swaged into the cylinder and no lead ring was shaved off. Stay tuned. Okay, there's the round ball, and I'm hoping that you can see that ring that was caused by the plunger. Now, for the full diameter of the round ball, swaged into the cylinder. Okay, so depending on what your feel is, that round ball is right at .375. Okay, I can put it tight and go 374. Okay, but there again, depending on what your feel is. Now, full disclosure, the first round ball that I did, I drove that all the way to the bottom of the cylinder, and at the bottom of the cylinder, what I got, now bear in mind, you're never going to put these at the bottom of the cylinder because you're going to be sitting on a powder charge, but I got .365. Once again, like I said before, right from the factory, this particular cylinder is tapered because you can see the difference. And when I measure the factory at the top, as I showed the other day, I got .370 or thereabouts, depending on what your feel is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the reaming. I got just a little bit of 3-in-1 oil. Going to do it by hand. Going to go real slow, and I have the depth already marked off with the first cylinder that I've done. So just a quick note, I actually purchased this reamer off of Amazon for like $9. When I went to Brownells to look for a similar reamer, they didn't have any in stock, but even if they did, it appears their reamer started about $75. So for me, this was just a cheap way to go. Now this particular reamer is tapered so that whenever you do start whatever you're going to ream, it'll self-align inside the hole of whatever you're going to ream. Now since like I said, since I've already marked it, I'm going to go down to about that depth. And I'm just using some 3-in-1 oil. You don't need any special cutting oil. So let me just kind of get set up here, get prepped, and we'll go to work. And bear in mind, these reamers are directional and it's clockwise. So I'm just going to insert it and it's going to self line, and you can see what I've got taped right there, how much I'm actually going into the throat of this cylinder. Or thereabouts. I just take a turn or two, pull it out, reinsert it, a turn or two, and pull it back out. And I am just about there. Yeah, I'm there. Take a brush, clean off your reamer, and do the next one. A little more oil. The oil makes the reamer happy. And the next hole. Self-aligning. Couple of turns. Back it out. I'm there. They're looking consistent. Self-aligning, couple of turns, back it out, reinsert it, turn, pull it out, maybe a hair deeper, but there again, it's not going to be a problem, just simply because, you know, whatever powder charge you're going to use, you're going to end up seating that ball below what you've already reamed. At least you should. I know there's a couple of thoughts out there about getting that ball as close to the top as you can get it so that it doesn't make a long jump between the cylinder throat and the forcing cone, because some people have the idea that you know, will make your point of aim change or something like that. If you really want to see what I'm describing, go to the channel The Old Ranger. And if I remember, in fact, I'm reminding myself right now, Mikey, put a link down below to the video you're referencing right now. You will see that he pulls an 1858 Remington right out of the box, loads it up, but when he shows the cylinder loaded, look at how far into the throat those round ball are actually setting. And then watch him shoot. I mean, my goodness, right out of the box, that revolver, that particular revolver, every bullet is touching the hole. So there again, is this misinformation when everybody talks about, well, you want to get it as close as you can so that you're not making a long jump to the forcing cone? Well, that video right there dispels all of that. It really does. So let me get to work here, get these last couple done, and then I'm going to turn around and do my 58 new model Army Remington Navy. Okay, clean off the shavings and do the last one. Okay, let me have a better look in the light here. They look very consistent. Whoops. Before I reinsert that. This one looks just a hair shallow. Right now I'm not going any deeper than the tape. I'm just making sure that all of the reaming is fairly consistent. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So just bear with me, friends. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Let me go blow the shavings out of here, and I'll be right back. Okay, now like I said before, there's different schools of thought out there. Honestly, what's the worst that could happen? Screw up a cylinder, find another one for $100 on eBay. But I'm of the mind that this is going to work out just fine. Well, I know the camera's probably not going to pick it up the best, but just looking at everything with the eyeball, they look pretty consistent. So I'm going to go to work on my Remington Navy, and we'll see what we can accomplish with that. Forgot, before we get back to the shooting session, this is how this Army San Marco 51 Navy shot the first time around. Just in case you haven't seen that video, this is the target. At 16 yards, she still shoots fairly decent, in my opinion. But let's see if these changes make it shoot any better or any worse. We'll find out. Okay, I'm working on the cylinder for the 58 New Model Army Remington Navy, and I don't know, the camera's really picking up the height difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dial calipers, measure from the bottom right here to the top of the sprue, and I'm going to do that on both because the cylinder, one cylinder is already, actually I got two reamed, but I wanted to give you guys these measurements before I carry on. So this one right here, it's been reamed, barely touching. I have 1.846. Let me do that again, get a couple of different readings. Yeah, see, now I got 1.86. Okay. So I'm going to take two measurements with this other one that's not been reamed. And I got 1.866. Let me take another reading. And 1.873. So at least we can see that we're in the ballpark, and the reaming actually will start shaving the lead as the ball is a little bit deeper into the cylinder throat, in particular with this Remington Navy. Now this is a Pieta. So once again, I'm hoping that the camera will kind of pick it up. If your eyeball can see, this one is setting a little bit taller than the other one by about maybe 20 thousandths, give or take. Let's see here. Yeah, see 1 point. Let's see, let me do this one first. This is kind of difficult because the sprue's not sitting perfectly flat, so I'm trying to measure the same point. Yeah, 1.845. 1.865. So there again, we're just within, a tolerance that makes it a lot easier to load the round ball in this particular revolver with that throat reamed to .375. All right, I'm going to continue on, and then the next time you see me, I should be out there shooting the guns. So what I've done to test that theory is I have a dowel, I've got it marked, I'm already loaded as shown, and I'm approximately the same depth with what I've loaded. I've got 25 grains of 3F GoX, and as you can tell, that puts it pretty close to the top. If you look at where I put the pencil mark, that's how far down these round balls set. Now I'm going to go ahead and get it capped up, and I must tell you right now, I did not fire any caps to clean any residual oil off of this from the last time that I actually shot or cleaned the revolver. So if I have a misfire, you'll understand why. I should have snapped a few caps first. So let's see where this is going to print, and then once again, I've got my target set up. I've got a little black spot on the bottom of it. Let's see how she does. But more importantly, I'm looking to see if these balls are shooting loose. And just real quick, before the next gust comes up, scroll back on this channel. You'll see the video that I did, and I believe I entitled it Uberti's 1860 Army and my problems with it, or my issues with it. Because what I discovered then, it was actually the loading ram pulling the round ball off of the, out of the cylinder. You'll see all that if you just scroll back. Enjoy. Well, that was the first shot. Hopefully you can see that everything remained the same. Let me get another shot, do the same thing. That's the one I already shot. So far, they're the same. So far the same. Nothing shot loose. The same. The same. Think that answers that question, at least for me. If you're not comfortable doing this, as I stated, don't do it. This time around, I'm going to cut back my load to 20 grains. Let me turn to the target and you'll see that I shot way left on everything. Well, that wasn't as embarrassing as I thought. Everything shot low. So my next round, I'm going to aim right at the bullseye. I should have watched the previous video to remind myself where the point of aim actually was. I don't know how well camera's going to pick it up, but if you guys can look at this round ball, I was actually able to recover these. I don't know how well the camera's picking this up right now, but if you take a look at that round ball, you can see how much that ball has elongated itself and how much rifling is now present. That tells me that, like any type of conical, you've got a long, good land to groove engagement. So let me get loaded back up. This time I'm going to cut it back to 20 grains, and my point of aim will be the red circle. Like I said, I should have gone back and looked at the previous video to see where my point of aim was. My bad. Stay tuned. Before I cap this up, and I know your friends can't identify it, but the next time you load up your cylinders, especially with a round ball, and before you cap it, take a look down and verify that your plunger is actually spreading out that round ball to help seal that cylinder. Now bear in mind, when you cut that little lead ring, you're probably not going to do that. But in these 380s, or .380 in particular, when it's swaging down into the cylinder, I can actually see on top of the ball that they're actually kind of mushrooming a little bit and filling that cylinder. With that being said, another reason why I recommend pre-lubricated wads, because that helps to also seal that space between your powder charge and your round ball. One of the reasons why I don't like putting my round ball on top of the powder charge is lead melts at about 650 degrees. When you ignite that powder charge, you're instantly going above that temperature, which could cause you to be melting a little bit of that soft lead going down the barrel. Maybe that's why some of you friends have a little bit of a problem with leading when you seat your round ball on top of the powder charge. This is why I've always viewed these pre-lubricated felt wads more as a gas check, because it creates a barrier between that super heated powder charge and your lead ball. Just something to think about. Let me get capped up and I'll zoom the camera in, change my point of aim. Once again, 20 grains of 3F Goex. Now notice how far down these round balls are actually seated in here. I know it's in the shade, and I'm hoping that by the time I get it into the editing program, you might be able to see it. Better yet, let me go get my rod and mark it to see if any of these things shoot loose. Okay, here's the rod. I've got it marked. You can see how far down these round balls are seated with 20 grain. Now there seems to be another thought process out there, that when this round ball makes that jump from this point to your forcing cone, you might be losing accuracy. Well, let's just see if that's true or not. There again, this is 20 grains 3F Goex, and I'll try to keep everything real steady before I squeeze that trigger. So before I shoot this round, I should also note that once again I forgot my lube, my black powder lube, to pack the forcing cone. There again, I'm not walking back to go get it. I'm just going to shoot these and see what happens. Okay, well, you guys can see what we did. Still shooting a little low right. I'm going to go ahead and bump it back up to 25 grains and see if that's really going to make a whole lot of difference. I'm suspecting that it will. And I'm going to go get my lube. Okay, I got the forcing cone packed full of my black powder lube, and I went ahead and switched to number 11 percussion caps because those number 10s are actually going on with a little bit of difficulty once the cone gets a little foul. So I just pinched them on, but let's see if we can do a little bit better this time around. Now bear in mind, the thing that I like about this Remington 58 new model Navy is it does have a driftable front sight. So if this gun continues to shoot a little low right, I can always drift that sight and compensate. But as I've stated before, not till I get about 100 rounds because I want this barrel good and seasoned. So let's see if I can do any better. Well, it looks like it shot even lower. I'm going to walk up and have a closer look. So let's have a look-see. Still shooting low, just about the same spot. I'm going to go up close and see if there's any doubles. Stay tuned. Well, upon closer inspection, you can see that there's one far right cutting the edge of the plate. If you go down to about the 4 o'clock, there's one that just nicked the edge of that plate, and go down to about 5 o'clock, there's another one that cut the plate there. And as you guys can tell, I have a really much stronger crosswind right now. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. I had planned on shooting my 51 ASM Navy, but with this cross breeze, I think I'm going to shut it down right here. So, friends, thanks for watching, and I hope everybody will have a blessed day. Keep your powder dry, may your aim be straight, and your sensibility spot on. Make good decisions. Bye.